Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen, with a follow-up on the new Star Citizen flight model and a summary of Reverse the Verse new flight experience. The first iteration of the new flight model is coming with 3.4 at the end of December 2018, but it's certainly not going to be finished. The iteration will get smaller and smaller with every update, though, when it comes to this flight model, until it's in a fun state, and then it's going to be considered done, and they're not going to try and overly edit it or change it after that. They want something that they go, right, now this is done. Obviously, there might be balancing with ships and stuff like that, but the actual flight model, the core flight model, won't change again. There is going to be a lot of relearning how to fly with the new flight model. So the atmospheric combat is planned to be very World War II-like. The ships will want to try to fly straight when in atmosphere. You'll actually feel them being pulled back to where you were going. And when you try and turn, you will want to try and get behind an opponent to gain an advantage. Balance is more than just ship and flight model stuff as well. It's items, weapons, and the environment too. Xi'an ships are going to be good strafe fighters. They're going to have a lot more maneuvering. They don't want everything to be reduced to joust fighting either, and they're working on methods to balance this. So slowing down takes time with the new flight model. They want time to kill increased, and disabling parts of a ship are going to be a thing as well. So certain flight styles won't be as effective. Jousting potentially being one of those that aren't as effective. They're still going to allow for circle strafing and jousting and other methods of combat, but this is going to change based on the ship you're in, the environment you're in, what weapons, items, all that sort of stuff you have, to what is the appropriate method, how you fly, how you combat, how you fight another ship. There are three rough types of categories for how ships fly in the new sort of flight model. Atmospheric flight, so this is the World War II style, low angular velocity. There's main thruster centric, they refer to it as the asteroid style. This is lower strength maneuvering thrusters, typically human ships, and this is going to be sort of like most of the drive coming from the rear thrusters, and then obviously slide and turn. You have to think about how you move. There's also going to be 6 degrees of freedom ships, so this is going to be strafing, super maneuverable ships, Xi'an Scout styled ships. Capital ships are going to have low acceleration, but high momentum. They are assumed to be stationary while they're fighting or moving slowly, is the idea when they come into combat. Moving them is going to require planning where you're going to go and how you slow down. Slowing down is going to take a lot of time. There is a danger of using them in atmosphere. They are extremely heavy. Cargo and additional mass will affect the speed and acceleration of your ship. Eventually, they want to have weight on one side of your ship, cause like imbalance to flight, so you actually feel that it's overloaded or weighted on one side more than the other. You're going to have weight warnings as well when you have like an extremely overloaded cargo, when you're trying to buy cargo. However, they did state that if people are putting cargo on your ship by hand, you might not necessarily get that warning. Every moon and planet has its own unique gravity and atmosphere that's going to affect flight of the ships that are in it. Also, flight in high atmosphere will be different to flight in low atmosphere. You'll be faster effectively if you're in higher atmosphere. Lower atmosphere is going to be you're affected more by gravity. Your VTOL thrusters are going to have to do a lot more. Gravlev is getting a redesign. They will be more grounded, like Gravlev vehicles, and feel the terrain more. They refer to it as like a jet ski. I like to think of it more as a tow truck pulling a hovercraft. That sort of feeling where you are actually feeling the ground underneath you, but you are still hovering. Wheels on ships will and can be used for rolling takeoffs in the future, but not for 3.4. It also sounds like they might be able to be driven a little bit. They would prefer ships not to need runways to take off, though. That's not sort of the system they want to go for. They want to use VTOL as much as possible. The thruster control that they're adding in the new flight model will allow for smooth up and down motion, so you can literally hover just off the ground and then lower that so you will smoothly go down, or turn it up so you actually come off the ground a bit more. They don't have any plans for rocket-style blast-off ships in atmosphere, though, other than VTOL. They don't plan to simulate true aerodynamics, it seems, either. If you get a hole in your wing while fighting, that's not going to affect your ship aerodynamically. However, the mass lost from the damage will affect you. So if you start to lose mass, if you start to lose weight from your ship, that is going to affect how you fly. They've been voxelizing ships and then using their silhouette to sort of work out atmospheric performance as well. But I think that's all going to be very basically simulated. Every ship will be different, but it's not going to be crazily overly simulated. Resources are an issue here as well. They are improving the UI by giving true velocity and forward velocity indicators, or a choice of them. The faster you are going, the less turning ability you're going to have with the new model. They do want people to be able to chase each other down. For dogfighting, they want players to slow down and actually take the time to dogfight, rather than have this jousting sort of thing. And there's going to be lots of factors that go into that and balance, though. Pre and cruise modes are gone. It's now all unified with the acceleration and velocity limiter. You can throttle up to your top speed, and that was basically what was cruise before. So you can just keep on going faster and faster and faster, but you lose maneuvering. So when you're going beyond your standard SCM and dogfighting speed, effectively, you just won't be able to turn so well. They are reworking the mass values for the new flight model as well. Expect the ship stats page to change to correct values for around 3.4. In the future, they want to pull sort of numbers and stats directly from their internal databases. You are going to be able to use your VTOL thrusters without deploying your landing gear in the future as well. The Connie and Aurora fans will work in the future. So these are a new type of thruster that will work in atmosphere and are more powerful the lower you are in atmosphere. Asymmetrical ships are likely to fly oddly in atmosphere as well. Vandal scythes, for example, their thrusters will struggle to keep it stable in atmosphere because it is a very asymmetrical ship. Pointing your thrusters in the right direction will be important too. If you roll your ship to the left or the right, and you're in atmosphere, you're going to start to fall or lose height because your VTOL isn't pointing down correctly. Large ships without enough of VTOL, if they land or crash on a planet, they might not be able to take off again. A Javelin, for example, that is unlikely going to be able to take off after it's landed on a planet, unless you maybe strip all of the unnecessary weight down and you're in a low gravity sort of like planet, maybe you'll be able to get out. Speed and atmosphere will dynamically change based on how high you are and how much drag you're experiencing. Missiles are going to be getting some attention as well. However, they are not part of the new flight model. They're actually being worked on by a different team. Eventually, they potentially like to unify them as much as possible with the new flight model though, and they want them to be effective in atmosphere eventually too. They want to do some work with aiming, gimbals, and mouse controls. They are currently discussing this internally. There might be some big changes coming to that in the future. Coupled and decoupled modes rotations should be the same. They have an internal use autopilot, typically used for AI or auto landing. If you want to have an autopilot, you'll have to get another player or NPC to pilot your ship. They do want in-game players to be as active as possible, and they want it all to be driven and tactile. In the Squadron 42 vertical slice, they actually had a Gladius auto takeoff, and the one that the player was using. So they may add this into the game, potentially. However, as I said, they do want stuff to be a bit more player-driven and tactile where possible. They are discussing the potential of players being able to save presets for their thrusters, velocity, and power controls. No confirmation they will add that yet, though, but it is being considered. Now, players might be worried about people constantly escaping using sort of like their cruise mode just by literally traditionally flying away, and that one-on-one problems are going to occur because of this. There's no reason to fight each other. There's a lot going on here, and there's a lot that's yet to be in our hands, and that's being considered and balanced and all that sort of jazz as well. So we'll have to talk a little bit in theory crafty nature, but it's sort of like there's a lot going on, Star Citizen. If you're attacking a convoy, then you want to chase people off. If you're engaging fighters or whatever, you want them to either be damaged or chased off. As soon as they disengage, you can go for your delicious, tasty prey. And that's sort of like one of the reasons you might fight people. It's less likely to be one-on-one fights. And if you do have a one-on-one fight, you still have a victory when you chase that person off effectively. And people aren't going to want to fight one-on-one so much unless there's a reason to fight. So either chasing someone off, or you're an escort and you're trying to get some juicy loot, or you're defending a land plot or a claim or something like that. There needs to be reasons to attack, and chasing off someone might literally just be your main goal here. Also, If you're fighting someone one-on-one or in a situation where you think they're going to escape and you don't want them to escape at all, and it's your main objective to take them down or disable them, then you're going to need to start trying to shoot certain parts of their ship accurately. Or consider what weapons you're using. Are you using weapons that are able to disable their shields and components quickly? Are you using ballistics that will pass through their shields potentially and clip and damage parts of their ship? So you want to be targeting thrusters or whatever so that they can't escape so quickly. Because as soon as they start accelerating up to their cruise speeds, they are going to lose maneuvering. And if you're directly behind them, you're still going to be able to shoot them. And if you're in a faster ship than them, they're not going to be able to escape you either. So these are all considerations that you need to keep in mind. One-on-one, yeah, if someone's in a faster ship than you and they decide to disengage, they're going to, in a lot of situations, be able to disengage. Unless they add some new items like webifiers, like we have in EVE or whatever. And I think that's probably stuff they are considering or talking about, but there's lots of other reasons to fight in Star Citizen's persistent universe anyway. When you're an arena commander, you're in a much more enclosed space and combat's going to be different. We'll have to wait and see exactly how that works. I mean, you are literally supposed to have one-on-one dogfights in some situations there, or team dogfights, whatever. But in the persistent universe, everything has more of a reason behind it, or at least it should. The game is trying to motivate you to have reason behind your actions and risk reward and that sort of stuff. And it's not just about these one-on-one brawl battles where there is a definitive winner and then you salvage their ship. However, and if you want to do stuff like that, you probably will be able to, but you might need to bring more overwhelming firepower, multiple ships, that sort of stuff, because time to kill and time to disable is going to be going up, or at least time to kill is, and then time to disable is going to be added to that pantheon in a more sensible way. Please tell me what you think of the new flight model and my thoughts on it in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. My radar have provided a new Anvil Valkyrie to give away. All you need to do is to be subscribed to my YouTube channel and then comment on any of my Star Citizen videos made during October. My radar is a mobile app for iOS and Android that provides up-to-the-minute weather information in the US, Europe, and Japan, with service in Australia coming in by the end of 2018. It allows Star Citizen players to view detailed maps of the moons in-game as well, Yela, Selin, and Daymar. A new version will be released this month that includes new features, including outpost markers and updated maps. Also, if you're looking to get or upgrade a gaming PC, then consider Shadow instead. Shadow is a subscription-based cloud gaming PC service that can turn most devices, phone, laptop, PC, tablet, and more into a powerful gaming PC via the internet. Links to more info in the description for that, and if you do decide to try it, then use the code BoredGamer to get a discount on the service.